Hey you guys, it's me, Gabriel, coming to you with that evening spark. It's been a little minute. I thought I'd check up on you guys. You know, there's a lot. Shoot, man, there's a lot of things that I feel like I could talk on. Um, but in the moment, one thing that I was jamming. Me and Grandmaster Jay, we were I was cracking into the Bible, and then in Matthew chapter 7. And by no means think this is some religious conversation. It's just I was reading the Bible. It just so happened. And one bit that I think I really liked, and this relates to the Golden Rule, as you may have seen in the title, but it's kind of like revisiting the Golden Rule or law. I think of more of a golden law because it's going to happen regardless of what you think. Um, so where it stems from, at least I think this is one of the aspects where it stems from is from Matthew 7, 11, no 12. It's Matthew 7:12. It says, "Therefore all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them." And I think that puts an interesting perspective. I think a lot of times people put into objection with the golden rule. Okay, I'll do good to people, but then they do bad to me, and that's not right. And then this makes this rule all BS. And I think what you got to look back on is what would you want them to do to you? It's what would you want them to do to you? Not what are they doing to you necessarily, or, you know, if they do this to me, then I'll do that to them. Well, would you want them to do that to you? No. Well, then you don't do that to them. You know, Jesus says, "Be as wise as serpents, but as harmless as doves." And I think that the whole dynamic of harmlessness and mercy and giving a cold water to the little ones in His name. And I think the dynamic there is that those who live a life of anger and hardship and have let their lives be marred by the darkness, surely they are little, for they think very little of themselves. And to them, giving that cold water to those who may persecute you, to love and bless those who may do wrong against you. I mean, this is a dynamic that I would love to see more frequently within the Christian churches. And I think they are. I think, though, there's this that we I think gotten a little wrapped up in a lot of that sort of hate mongering, that where we get too caught up in hating the sin, and then we end up finding ourselves hating the supposed sinner, our brother. But that's in direct opposition. We say, judge not lest ye be judged. So by that, it's not saying don't judge, and if they judge you, fine, it's okay to judge them back. Again, judge not that ye be not judged. So it's like this kind of relates back to that. Because what you're giving, would you want them to judge you? And some people will say, well, I don't care. I'm still going to do my thing. Well, I feel like that's extremely hypocritical then. Again, you don't want, it doesn't matter so much whether you don't care what they do to you, but you give unto them what you would want to have happen to you. So you would want mercy. Who wants to be judged? You might be thinking you're tough enough to not need to care whether or not people judge you. And to that extent, yes, you shouldn't get caught up on the judgments of man. But that is not to say that because you don't care that they don't judge you, or that they don't hate you, whether or not they hate you, that means you can just hate on them. Because we are called to give that love. And so I think that's the big thing about it all. It's not much, but I think one thing we gotta really harp on is when we're given in a situation, someone says some off-colored comment, an insult, an offense. One thing I gotta recognize is that if I feel it's a state of offense and I get offended in a sense of deprivation, I'm going to then give that to them. Because as you ask, you will receive. So I'm asking for deprivation because I feel the deprivation from within. So that's what I'm saying. In my heart, I am saying I want more deprivation because that is how I feel is what I have been given. Well, I wouldn't want them to give that to me, so I will then surely not give that to them. That's what it comes down to. You may, regardless of whether or not you don't care if someone judges or hates you or anything like that, that doesn't give you an exclusive right to be judgmental or hateful. First off, Jesus says, before you get caught up trying to correct someone and judge someone and not be able to accept them, first, get your life figured out before you go talking about how everyone else needs to make their lives better. And you're so horrible and I'm so good kind of thing. No, my perspective, my approach is to show you how much better of a life you can have for you. That for how we're like, but not for me to judge the life that you do have, to accept you where you're at, but yet to be able to love you there all the same, to love you at the lowest denominator, to recognize, and it stems from me and you and, the individual recognizing the truth of the matter. Would I want the truth of myself, my innocence, given unto me? Well, then I surely must be willing to see and strive to see that within others, even when they may speak out of anger and spite or some malicious manner, whatever it may be. Because you got to think, that's the life they've been growing up in. And they are mistaken in their interpretation of the situation. So it is not for us to further compound that, but to show them the better way through love and forgiveness and recognizing that it's a mistaken interpretation and that God's kingdom has not been dethroned and that love is still the one law that reigns supreme, that fear is the illusion. And then coupling that with the truth of who they are, that they are holy and eternal and whole and free and forever at peace within the heart of God, and that God's Son is guiltless and sin does not exist. And recognizing these truths, you will. Because then you state, that's what I would want them to see in me. So that is what I will give unto them. So, for this, think about, what would you want someone to see you as? I would want them to see me in this beautiful way, to see me as strong and hopeful and loving. It's a myriad of things. It really, the heart of it is more what's important, not necessarily the words. So let that be your guiding compass then. And hopefully it can stop you from returning anger for anger. If someone says something, well, how would I want this situation to go forward? Because the experience you seek will dictate the choices you make. So you gotta have that. You gotta want this state of wholeness. I want a life of wholeness. I want to experience that state of wholeness within, and go forward in that, and let that be my guiding compass. And the things will come out of that then, from what you pray within the secret of your internal will then be expressed in the outernal, the outward, and you'll see that within your life. So that's what I got for you. Let's go forward, let's conquer, and let's have the love that we would have within us be that for which we send out to the world. Okay. Here at the Wolfpack, we surely wish you well and Godspeed. So, okay, we thank you for coming this far in the video. See ya.